All right, guys, welcome to a brand new episode of SideQuest Podcast. Listen in and level up. I have a great guest for you today on the podcast, but before we get into that, let's get through the house notes. If you're not following me on Facebook, head over to Facebook and click up in the search bar and type SideQuest Fitness. You can like the page over there. You'll get updates on all of the podcast episodes when they come out. If you're not already subscribed on iTunes, you'll get updates on articles, all the shenanigans I get in throughout the week, and a fun little Full Disclosure Friday where I admit something personal about myself and let the world know that. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, SideQuestFM. You can also follow me as well at the same handle, SideQuestFM, on Instagram. I'm using a lot of Instagram stories, really digging that part of Instagram now. But you can also follow me on Snapchat. SideQuestFit is my Snapchat handle. So head over there and ask me your questions. Also, if you haven't left a review on iTunes, please head over to iTunes and leave a review for the show. Each review that goes up helps the show move up the charts so that more people can hear the amazing guests like the one I have today, like the ones I've had in the past, like John Romanello, Coach's Corners episodes, and all the guests that have been on. More people will get to hear the amazing stories, the inspiring stories by many of them. So please head over to iTunes and leave a review. If you listen on SoundCloud, leave a review there, or on Stitcher, wherever you listen to the podcast. Please leave a review. And if you take a screenshot of the review that you sent me and email me at sidequestfitness@gmail.com, I will send you a bag of macro fuel. You can check out the macro fuel episode. That's episode 99. And you can get a free bag of that from me. I'm paying for the shipping, comes to you at no cost. And you can try the best meal replacement shake there is on the market. 25 grams of protein. There aren't many meal replacement shakes out there that will give you that much protein. So give it a try. Send me the screenshot of your review, sidequestfitness@gmail.com. Guys, let's get into the show. It's a long one. It's a fun one. There are some technical difficulties. Alex and I, my guest, had some issues. He is in the great white north of Canada, so a couple things came in and out. So if it seems like it jumps in places, that's because of the internet connection that kept going out. The carrier pigeons. Come on, man. Got to get some better carrier pigeons. All right, guys, let's get into the show. Let's hear from Alex Mullan, the writer and owner of MASSthetics.net.
Step up and you gotta get it fitness. Host Rob at the moment and the quest is you gotta check it and wreck it. You're breaking personal records, and with the help of the guests you won't be guessing on the lessons. That's a +5 fierce. Got a low-key bamf right here. You wanna meet him, there's no better way to greet him than to strike a boss pose. Take a look into the mirror.
All right, guys, welcome to a brand new episode. As I mentioned in the intro, I have another fantastic guest for you. He is a fitness coach, a writer, a dude. I like to call him Sir Quads a lot, because they're huge. Like I would say they're a goal for me, but my shorts already don't fit, so I need to be able to fit into shorts and jeans. It's a good thing. But he is another member of the business mastermind that I am in. But he's also just come off his first bodybuilding show, and the dude was ripped. I mean, ripped. But he went through the process, and it's something that I've always been interested in doing. Post-photo shoot, I don't know how interested I am anymore, but I still want to get his take because it was a goal that he set at the beginning of the year. He crushed it, took home some good trophies, anyway, so I'm going to welcome to the show the one and the only, the man and the myth, the legend behind the ODB, the Old Dirty Burrito. I put it up on Facebook. Alex Mullan of MASSthetics.net. Alex, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thanks a lot for having me on the show. Pumped to be here.
Dude, thank you
for that intro. That was awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you for the amazing burrito recipe. Like, when you put that up, I was like, oh, shit. And it, like you, I was in the middle of this photo shoot. So it was like, nope, can't have that, too much fat. Nope, can't have that, too much rice. Oh, can't put that in a burrito shell because...
That thing is definitely a bit of a macro monster, but man, is it ever good.
Oh, it's so good. Like you almost need like an extra large burrito. Like there was so much stuff in it.
When I was writing out the recipe, that was actually what I was looking for. It was an extra large tortilla shell, but being Canadian, those don't exist up here. So you could probably find one, but I had to stick with the original size.
Well, I think mine is 10 inches. It's something I bought at like Sam's Club because, taco shells are like $2 at Sam's Club. By the way, if you eat a lot of tacos and you're not like buying food from like a Sam's Club or a Costco, you are failing because you're spending like $3 for like 12 taco shells. I'm spending $3 for like 50. Yeah, even theirs, I don't think it was big enough. I need like that Chipotle gigantic burrito.
Yeah, just a monster is what's needed for that one.
So the weather looks beautiful there in Canada right now. It's hot as balls. Though that expression is still always kind of weird, like hot as balls. Like
they get pretty fucking hot. Like
you
go through a good leg day, your balls are going to be toasted.
Alex, the TLDR version of how did you get into this world of fitness, bodybuilding, and having the legs of amazingness?
It all started with hockey, to be honest.
Of course it did.
Well, yeah, Canadian, athletic. I don't think there's any other sport up here besides hockey. So I started playing hockey when I was like 5 or 6, and like many things that stick around when you start at that young, it just kind of becomes a part of your life. And then as I was finishing up high school, 17, 18 years old, I had to choose between continuing on with like junior level hockey and probably not going much beyond that, or figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. And at the time I made the call to move on. And so all of a sudden I had all this free time on my hands, and I'd been like training in gyms specifically for hockey for a couple of years. So I had some familiarity there, and that pretty much took up all of my free time. And then as the months went on, I started to notice like getting bigger, getting stronger, starting to get more confidence, all the good shit that comes with physique development. And that was pretty much all she wrote. I was hooked I'm not sure when I got hooked pretty early on it, and it was just always there and always a part of me, and still is.
So what was the biggest, or even now as you sort of do bodybuilding, do you still do any of the training you did with hockey, or would that be like something, would it totally destroy you now?
It's interesting. I don't think it would destroy me. I don't know. My body I've found is kind of weird with shit like that, as in I don't have to do it, but I can pick it up pretty quickly again, if that makes sense. So I could go do like a traditional like conditioning session and I'd be gassed and winded, but I wouldn't be destroyed, even though I haven't done it in who knows how long.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
I miss the competition the most, and now that I'm competing again, it's even further from my mind. So
we're going to talk about the bodybuilding show. All right, so competition and bodybuilding. I mean, you don't really know or maybe I'm wrong on this. Do you really know your competitors until you get on stage? I mean, like you're there sort of, it's kind of like a one-man thing. Like you're competing against yourself, your own body, and all of the hormones and fat that you're trying to get rid of. But do you sneak in and like look at your competition? Do you know anything about them beforehand?
At this stage I'm at, where like this was my rookie competition season, I did 2 shows, I knew nobody. But like if I keep doing this year after year, I think you start to see the same people who also stick with it. And at that point you kind of get an idea of what you're up against. But as it stands right now, like I had no idea going into it. Even going into the provincial show, which I knew there would be a couple guys from the qualifier I did, it's still like you don't know who's going to show up until you're there.
Yeah. So as a rookie, what's one thing that surprised you, that you maybe assumed a myth about bodybuilding or doing a show, that once you got into it, you were like, oh, not what I thought?
Probably the biggest shock was exactly how hard you have to push to get truly lean. Like, obviously I knew it's going to take some sacrifice, discipline, and all that, but to get truly lean, to get stage ready, like, you have to push your body. You got to do shit it doesn't want to do, and I mean, it's an unnaturally low level of body fat and state to get to, and to do that, you kind of have to challenge. You really have to challenge yourself and what you know to get there.
What was the biggest challenge that you sort of, I mean, obviously being hungry and not having a lot of carbs and...
You know what? I actually didn't deal with hunger that much.
Really?
I think a lot of that I attribute to my mindset, and I knew it was part of the process, and I had no choice. Like, I could be hungry and think about food all the time, or I can just kind of block that off, because thinking about it is not doing me any good, just kind of making the whole process a lot shittier.
Yeah.
So instead, I did my best to enjoy it, and just kind of embrace what hunger there was. But the biggest thing was just the energy. Like, having to go to bed at 7 p.m. because you're fucking done is... Like, I haven't done that since I was 10. And that threw me off. Thankfully, that didn't really happen until the weeks in between the qualifier and provincials. But it was a bit of a slap in the face for sure.
So you're also an entrepreneur as well, and trying to get your coaching business going. You do some work for other people as well, and in the industry. Like, how did you find the energy, man? Like, you've got to write, you've got to create content. I mean, like, if I put my heart and soul into an article, like, once I hit publish, dude, it's like it's almost like having the best orgasm in the world, and then you follow, like, you roll over and you go the fuck to sleep, like, you're done, and then you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh
what
man,
happened?
I slept like a god. Like, that happens, creatively. So where did you find the energy? What gave you the energy when you were ready to go to bed at 6:45?
So just to add a bit of context to that, I basically decided to go all in on building my own online business and compete in these shows at more or less the same time, which I do not recommend anyone ever tries to do. It worked, thankfully, but it just added a whole layer of shit to deal with that, like, next year I'm going to be on... So next year I'm doing the national show, and business-wise, I will not be pushing for business growth because, it just saps you. But I pulled a lot of energy needed for that from pure stubbornness. Like, I got bills to pay, right?
Yeah.
There's shit has to be done. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I'm worn down, but like, life is still going on around me. So
right.
Just a good dose of stubbornness allowed me to keep going. Where did it leave off?
Oh, we were chatting about finding the energy to keep going, and I was saying, I noticed your Snapchats or your Instagrams, and you would be like, "Oh, monster energy! Gotta send out some emails. Gotta get through this." Did you have to really rely on that sort of stuff and, like, coffee as much as you could?
Yes and no. I've always been a big coffee drinker. Like, the day doesn't start without it. I fucking love going to coffee shops and trying, like, their various different drinks and comparing them to others. Yes, bit of a side passion of mine. My caffeine intake actually dropped as prep went on, I found, which was interesting. Usually it'd be the other way around. So, like, say 3 or 4 months out, I'd be having like 6 shots of espresso and then maybe 1 or 2 cups of coffee as well on top of that. And then in the final weeks, I was maybe having 2 or 3 shots and then just a shit ton of water. And it wasn't to do with energy or anything. It was just, I kind of went by what my body was telling me and feeling. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're going to be pretty low with everything. So
at that point, no matter what you take or what you do, it might taste good or feel good for that time that it's in your mouth and, like, you're sitting down to eat or drink something, but it does nothing for an actual tangible energy boost.
Yeah. So what was What was your biggest rookie mistake? That, like, if anyone, and now most of the people listening are probably never going to do a bodybuilding show, but I still think it's interesting because it's a sport that, like, we watch basketball players, we see, you know, training camp for football, we see, you know, people practicing, you know, all the time, but, you know, bodybuilding is just a sport that you're like, so you're not trying to necessarily get bigger, faster, stronger. You're trying to get so super lean that, like, you can barely walk on stage because you're, like, eating next to nothing. Like, so what was your biggest rookie mistake?
I think I could have been a little bit tighter with my diet in terms of veggie intake and condiments. And honestly, I think that's the only area I feel I fell a little flat.
What condiment were you, was it hot sauce?
Now and then, but it was mostly reduced sugar, ketchup, mustard, and salsa. And none of those are high calorie as it is, but when all you're eating is meat and veggies for much of the time and a little bit of carbs, that extra flavor is, you know, it tastes pretty good at the time.
I got you. Now, did you actually have to, like, count the calories for veggies? Were you that? Because see, I don't know. I know how to get lean. Like, I can get myself lean. I can get clients lean. But, like, I don't know bodybuilding. I would just be like 1,500 calories, a lot of protein, and feel like shit.
And just go run for 4 hours a day. No, I didn't. So veggie wise, I kept things to, like, the typical green fibrous ones, like peppers, spinach, asparagus, beans, that sort of thing. And I just kind of kept them at, like, a fist-sized portion up until 7 to 10 days out from each show. And then I started being a little more strict on the amounts just for digestive issues and any potential water retention. Yeah. So, yeah, just that final week is where I would really tighten that sort of thing up. I think if I'd done it a little bit sooner, there might have been a little bit more fat loss, or might have been a little bit tighter, but again, I can play with that next year and see what happens.
True. Do you think this is something you're going to continue to do for, like, 10 years? And now that you're like, you're a pro, I mean, you know, still have a ways to go, I guess, but, you know, is this something you're like, I could do it for the next 10 years?
I think so. I've never fallen in love with the process of something as much as I did with getting ready for these shows. And, like, despite the low energy, the occasional bout of brain fog, the stress and strain it puts on, like, relationships and stuff, despite all that, it was one of the most rewarding and educational experiences of my life, and I will gladly do it again every year. And plus, it's fun to be really fucking shredded. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie, it does look pretty good in pictures, or getting out of the shower and being like, "Whoa, yeah."
It does good things for your confidence. From a business standpoint, it actually helped a lot as well.
Yeah,
I know some people will say you don't have to look the part all the time, but it definitely helps when you do.
Oh, I think that, like, if people were to come to me and not see that, you know, if I'm going to talk about fat loss, I should at least look, you know,
like you can do it.
Right. And that, but now again, like, you know, I know there are entrepreneurs out there who make, you know, 7-8 figures a year, and they drive like a Toyota Yaris. And they'll say, like, I don't need a fancy car, I go on awesome trips. Like, that's what my money can do for me. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Like, you have something to show for that. Like, I'm going to listen to you. You're not just like, you know, anyways. But you mentioned relationships and the strain that it puts on it. And I think that's one thing that many people, when they start to sort of, you know, their own fat loss journeys, you know, that is tough, because if you're married or you have a girlfriend or a significant other, or even just your own friends, like, nah, guys, sorry, I want to go out tonight, but, you know, I'm trying to lose weight. And then everyone must be like, you're lame. You never come out. Like, your girlfriend, your wife can get upset because you can't go out to eat with her. Like, your dietary restraints mean, like, you know, it puts a damper on their life as well. How did you learn to navigate that?
I found the right person.
but like, if you, I mean, you're going to have that with clients too, and like everyone's going to experience that. So like, what are some things you can do? How do you navigate it?
Well, so like I said, I got extremely lucky I live with my girlfriend, and she was very understanding and supportive of what I was doing, the whole process. And like, she got right in there with me. Like, she helped me make sure my meals were ready, and stuff like that. But communication, I mean, as with any relationship, communication is the key. So there'd be lots of times where I'm just like, there'd be something we'd be invited to, and obviously most of those events are at night, and 7 p.m. bedtime.
7 p.m. You're done.
Not exactly like, that's when this stuff is starting. And I just told her, like, I can't. Like, I can go and sit there and try not to fall asleep, or you can go and have fun and do your thing. So we did that a couple times. I don't know, I lost my train of thought.
No, I think it's something that I don't think a lot of people realize, that one, you've got to make huge sacrifices in your diet as well, and I wasn't as low as you were calorie wise to get ready for my photo shoot, but there were nights that, like, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, she's like, we're out with friends, and I'm like, I'm tired. Like, I want to go home, or friends want us to come out, and I'm like, no, sorry, I can't have a beer, or we want to make dinner, and I'm like, it doesn't work this week. Sorry. Or
like, you got to make sacrifices, especially for something that's kind of based around how much you eat.
That's true. That's true. That's
it's
true.
The price you got to pay. It helps. Like, my girlfriend, she lifts with me sometimes when she's not with me. I set her up on a program and everything, so she understands kind of the lifestyle and what goes into it more than some might. Like, I know there's a number of people who, like, they compete, but then their significant other is, like, not really involved or part of that process. Yeah. Like, they're there for support, but, like, they may not train, they may not understand their own nutrition and that sort of stuff. So having that understanding in the person I'm living with was a huge bonus.
I can see, if you are as low as you were calorie-wise, why that would be a bonus. But I don't know. It's just thought it was a good question that came up. What was your favorite part? What was your favorite part? I mean, was it the finish? Was it being done? Was it being like, oh yeah, I can finally have, like, rice cakes and carbs again? Was it winning the awards, or was there something else sort of in the process? Because you mentioned falling in love with the process, and we'll talk about that a little more too. But was there something that you were really like, yeah, I enjoyed this the most?
Kind of two things. For one, what I enjoyed most was the process. And I think that's the reason that I'm going to be able to do it year after year. Because if you base your enjoyment of competing off of the end result, you are in for a massive letdown. Because you're on stage for all of, like, being that I was in lightweight and kind of the shorter classic physique classes, there weren't a ton of us. So our time on stage was, like, literally 5 minutes. So that's, if you think about it, for me, it was 5 months of dieting, cardio, like, deprivation basically, and discipline, for a grand total of 5 minutes up on stage. So if you can't enjoy the process of getting to the stage, you're in for a huge letdown.
You know what? I can agree with that. By the time this episode goes up, my article will be up on what I learned, through my photo shoot. And I learned that as well, dude. I agree. Like, it was only a few minutes. Our mutual friend, Ben Johnson, who's been on the show as well, mentioned, that for his photo shoot that he had right after the one in New York, that it was like 20 seconds. I did all this work for essentially like a 20-second snapshot, and like, you kind of realize that, I don't know if I really wanted to, like, it's being like that all year would be ridiculously hard.
Like, you have to accept that the months of time and effort and energy you're going to put into getting ready for that 5 minutes, that is where the reward and the growth comes from, not that kind of end 5-minute result.
Yeah. So what did you learn about the process and falling in love with the process? Because we talk about that all the time as coaches, and as we're recording this today, I put up an article about, my sort of self-doubt and battling with being an entrepreneur, and how like many of my clients and myself having this business is like, okay, when's it happen? Like where's the moment? Like when do I reach that goal? When's it, like I want to be there. I want to be there.
I want to be there yesterday.
Yeah, I want to be there yesterday. But we talk about falling in love with the process, and it is the process. You learn a lot throughout it. But what did you learn through yours that you're going to be able to help your clients understanding how to fall in love with the process?
It's actually a really good question, and one that I haven't put a ton of thought to yet. So we'll kind of see where this ends up.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah. Dude, the best questions are the ones that like know what someone asks you and you haven't thought about, because it gives you a chance to be as truthful as possible.
One thing I learned was, again, that push that it takes to get truly lean and achieve fat loss. I think a lot of people underestimate it. It's like, yeah, I'll exercise a bit more. I'll clean up my diet a bit, and then next week I'll be 10 pounds lighter and I'll be where I want to be. That's not how it works. You have to commit to it. You have to push. And that's helped me with my clients. Is I realized a couple of them, I wasn't pushing hard enough. And that's like totally on me as a coach. But I learned that from going through it myself. And I think that was a very valuable lesson. Was actually, like, I've gotten lean before, but I've never pushed like this. And being able to experience that firsthand and know what it feels like, get a better idea of like some biofeedback signs like appetite, sleep, pumps, energy, and all that stuff was really good. And you need a dose of discipline. And discipline isn't something, I don't think you're necessarily born with it, but it's something that you can definitely develop and work on.
Mm-hmm. So you brought up, discipline and sort of the need for it, because you have to have it for your goals and what you're doing. I think that's something I kind of want to talk about, because there's a lot of people that don't realize how important discipline is for everything. I know there's a lot of talk, and I talk about it too, that you can, lose weight and still enjoy the food you love. But I think even with that caveat, you have to understand that, yes, you can still enjoy those foods, but you got to you got to understand first, that like you're going to have to build up some discipline to say no. You're going to have to learn the consistency, to stay on track for, and how to get back on track when you go off. Like, discipline is something you have to learn. I think you're right that it's not something you're born with, but whatever your goal is, you're going to have to be disciplined to get it. It's not like you said, like, it's like, oh, I eat a little less this week, and then like, I work out a little more, and next week I'm down like 10 pounds, like that.
That just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. And, I don't know. I just think that's one thing that getting into a fitness regimen can teach you, is that discipline breeds results.
Discipline and consistency are what drive your success.
Yep. I agree. So how? Oh man, I don't even know where to go with a discussion on discipline. What are two things that you had to really be disciplined about? I mean, obviously, your food and your training, but like, were there other things like your mental stability, your anything else? Like, what were two things that you were very disciplined about that helped you through this process? Maybe not even diet related, as you were getting ready for this show.
For this one, I'm going to step away from diet and training reasons, because like you said, you touched on them, and this kind of a no-brainer. If you're going to compete, like if you're just trying to get lean, you have a little bit more room for error in terms of discipline. But if you're trying to step on stage, like, you can't fuck off for a couple days. It's just not going to end well for you.
Yeah.
So two things that I do, like even before I started competing and still do them now, but helped a lot, where I have a little journal that I fill out every morning and at night. It's just a basic gratitude journal. But it helped me really appreciate, like, despite the low energy, like not being able to enjoy everything that I wanted to and all that, it helped me still have gratitude and appreciation for what I did have in my life. So like the support of my girlfriend, the business I'm building, family, friends, that sort of stuff. And that really helped to keep just my mental state where it needed to be to maintain the discipline in my training and diet. As well, morning coffee. I mean, like, I'm a pretty big believer in having a set morning routine.
What is your morning routine? I'll go a little Tim Ferriss here. What's that routine sort of look like?
All right, so I aim to get up at 5:30 every day. Usually there might be 15, 20 minutes on either side, depending on usually how hard my training session was the day before.
I gotcha.
So yeah, I try to be up between 5:30 and 6. First thing I do, splash some water on my face and then make my espresso. And then if it's warm out, I'll sit out on my balcony. If not, I'll sit on the couch, fill out my journal, and just kind of space out, drink my coffee, and just kind of let my mind wander. After a little bit of that, I will then I start writing. I really like writing first thing. Many of us in the fitness space seem to enjoy that, I've noticed. Then I'll write I usually try to cap it at 90 minutes because after that I kind of lose interest and my flow just takes a massive
dude,
off.
Don't even get me started. There, like I said, there are days I just lay on my floor and stare at the ceiling, and I'm like, Muse, where did you go? Come back here. No.
Where did you run off to?
Why did you run off with that other guy? Come back.
I can, in that 90 minutes, I can usually write an article to 85% completion. And I'm usually pretty happy with that product. And I'll come back the next day or later on and do edits and whatever. But then after writing for a while, that's when I have my first meal. And that kind of brings the end to my morning routine and moves into whatever else is on deck for the day.
Okay, I like
that. So gratitude, coffee, words, food.
GCWF. Gratitude,
there we go.
Coffee.
Let's trademark that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see sort of. I'm not a morning. I guess I am a morning writer. I sort of. I don't answer emails now until 9:30, and then I'll send emails out or do some rough writing. I should start writing a little more in the morning. I like reading first thing because if I don't do it, I won't do it in the day. If 3 o'clock comes around, I'll start reading and then decide to take a nap 3 sentences in. I just be nap time.
So
I get it done.
That focus.
Yeah. So I get it done while the coffee is kicking into my system.
One other thing that this more started in the weeks after the show, but I've been trying to become at least conversational in Spanish for a while. So I spend about 30 to 40 minutes every morning before I start writing, practicing Spanish.
What spurred that?
When I was going through school, I think when I moved into grade 9, I had a choice between continuing with French or switching to Spanish. And at that point, I fucking hated French with every fiber in my body. I'm not sure why. I think it's because I didn't have a choice in taking French class at that point. It was just kind of what you had to do.
Yeah.
And I just really liked the idea of Spanish. So I took Spanish through grade 9, 10, and 11. And a couple of years after that, I spent time living in the Dominican, which gave me a chance to use it a bit. And I just really like the language. I like Spanish countries. I always have an awesome time whenever I've been to Mexico or the Dominican. And I have friends down there, and it'd be nice to be able to converse with them in their own language.
So I had some questions on that as well. Now, as an American, we talk about all the time, it's important to get out of your country, but most Americans never, ever leave.
They don't go outside of their city.
No, they don't go outside of their state, like,
or their block half the time.
Yeah, like, I mean, my dad was born in Germany, but only because he was born on a U.S. naval ship, and his because he was in German waters, like his birth certificate says Germany,
yeah.
But technically, because he was born on American property, like, he's American. But besides that, like, he's never been out of the country. He, North Carolina, Virginia, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, like, sort of those areas. So when my wife and I got married, he had never been to New England. And I'm like, Dad, like, why have you never, you could travel to all these places. Oh, I'm home. I just work, but what did being in another country sort of teach you? Like, what did you take away from living in a country that's not as prevalent or as, well off as Canada?
You don't need objects to make you happy.
Oh, God.
Pretty so fucking true. Cliche and beaten to death, but it's so true. The people in the Dominican are some of the most generous, most welcoming, and just, like, kind, good-hearted people I've ever met. Like, people I met 5-10 minutes ago, like, inviting you in and cooking you massive Dominican meals and, like, hanging out all afternoon, going to the beach. Like, that doesn't happen in North America. Mm-mm. You're not welcome into someone's home for a meal and, like, to spend the evening with them when you met them 5 minutes ago. It's, I don't know, cultural differences, I guess, and they don't, like you said, it's not a very prevalent country, and it's very much kind of between second and third world. Like, there'll be,
it just
slums.
Kind of disappears, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there'll be slums sandwiched between, I don't know, mansions almost.
Yeah.
So the disparity there is pretty huge, but everyone is happy regardless of their situation. At least the ones that I met. So yeah, that was a big lesson that you need experiences and you need good people in your life for happiness, not, shiny objects.
I agree. It's hard for me to say that, though, as a gamer, because I'm like, but video games, but my Xbox, but because even my wife was like, "Do you really need it?" I'm like, yes, I need a $400 Xbox. Okay, you don't understand. Like, it's a part of who I am.
Call of Duty. You don't get it.
Yeah, I need a PlayStation 4, honey, because you don't understand. I need to play No Man's Sky. Like, there are like 18 billion different solar systems that you can go to in that game. Like, you would have to play 24 hours a day for 96 years to ever visit every planet in that game. Yeah, I want to play that game.
And there goes the rest of Robbie's life.
Yep, done. No more side quests. I'm just obsessed with that game. I really do. I really do want to play it. I regret now not having a PS4 because of it. All right, so a couple of fun questions, and then we'll go back into some post-bodybuilding stuff and get to know Alex a little more. If you could go anywhere in a time machine, Alex Mullan, where would you go?
Anywhere in a time machine? Part of me wants to say like the 1970s California for the golden era of bodybuilding.
All right.
So there's that, but I would also love to go back to like ancient Greece. My dad's Greek, so I'm half Greek. I just love the history. I've been there a couple times, and I think it would be really cool to experience that firsthand.
That I can agree with you on. I think it'd be interesting to see. That whole, I don't know. Like, I know our country is fairly new, but the whole history of that area, like from there into like, Eurasia, it's all like, there's so many books and things you could write about. I just want to read all of them.
It runs so deep, and there's so much there that, I mean, I don't think we'll ever truly understand what it was like or what happened, but yeah, to go back there in a time machine and experience that would be incredible.
I mean, to be honest, and whatever. I'm a dude. I got testosterone. I want to sit above in a time machine and watch the Battle of Thermopylae. Like, I know it's not going to be like the movie 300 at
but it's going to be pretty fucking cool still.
But I want to see. Well, one, I want to see because I'm like, all right, let's also remember that, winners write history. So
what actually happened.
What really happened? Like what really happened? I mean, the Greeks kept pretty good records, but come on, like they're not going to embellish it. Of course, they're going to embellish it.
And like our concepts today of what those battles were like are all based off of movies.
Well, and yeah, like medieval sword fighting. There's no real.
We don't actually know what it was like. We have ideas.
We have ideas, but there were no like real manual. There was a broadsword. What can you do with it? You could pummel people with it. I mean, was it more like you pummel and then pull your dagger out and like what was it really like? I mean,
like, we just don't know.
It would.
Yeah.
All of that would be so interesting. Then it would be interesting to really go back and see if like Atlantis really existed and maybe like all this technology we have now existed once before, you know, like are we just in one weird cycle where like it's all going to melt down and we go back to being caveman because. All right. So next question. If your life were a movie, Alex, what would the title be?
Fuck, you're good at asking questions, man. I love when I have to really think about stuff and it doesn't just fly off my tongue.
No, it's, it's a good time.
I would almost go as far to say discipline.
Discipline. All right. So by discipline, would it be, what genre would you put that in? Let's go with that. Cause I feel like that could be an interesting take on where you could take it. Cause I could see like, a martial arts film. I could see like, a cop film, a buddy cop film almost in a way.
I was thinking like an action comedy.
An action comedy? All right. Then in that, if it's an action comedy called Discipline, who plays Alex Mullan and who is your co-star? Or the co-star?
I feel like Kevin Hart would have to play me because he's about my height.
He's about as jacked as you too.
He's a thick little bastard, isn't he?
Dude, he's like, I see him on Instagram doing like muscle ups. He's like muscle up after muscle up after muscle up, and I'm like, I need to go see the movie with him and The Rock. I have a feeling it's pretty hilarious.
I'm dying to see that one.
Yeah.
I think for a co-star, it would have to be someone like James Franco or someone who's like a little out there.
I like the James Franco. I like it.
James Franco and Kevin Hart. That would be good times. Can you imagine if they did Pineapple Express with those two?
Pineapple Express 2? Oh my God. Genius. Oh, the first one was so good. So good. All right. What's the last new thing you've tried? And I know you're coming off a bodybuilding show, so maybe it's not food and, outside of being in the bodybuilding competition, what's the last new thing you've tried? There's
been a lot of new exercises I've tried in training, but that's not as interesting. I'm going to be honest. My life the last 5 months has been pretty
just training.
Uniform.
Then what are the new ones that you've, because there's a lot of stuff out there that people have never heard of. Like, to be honest, I know probably sounds bad, but I didn't know about the sissy squat until I saw you doing it on Roman's Snapchat. And then I saw you doing it in this one way, and then I saw someone else with a different video of like how to do it. So what are some new exercises you've done?
So there's one, bent easy bar curls. They're basically like you set up as if you're doing a preacher curl, but there's no bench, and you curl up till the bar taps your forehead.
Huh.
They actually feel incredible. So there's those ones. You get a wicked contraction in your biceps, provided you can hold the form.
So you're standing and you do it. So like I curl up until it touches. So I get a little like front delt action as well.
Sorry, you stand up tall and then you kind of hinge forward till your torso's kind of 45 degrees. And then you bring your elbows forward as if there was a preacher bench under them, and you keep them there. And then you curl up towards your forehead. Does that make sense?
I mean, I'm trying to do it right now. Yeah, I think so. If guys, it'll be in the show notes in a video form on YouTube. So you just go to PsyQuestFitness.com /Alex-Mullan, again, sidequestfitness.com/Alex, ALEX-MULLAN, and we'll have a video for that. So you can see that, because I might have to try that out. I love some curl exercises.
Who doesn't? And I would recommend doing them not as like your first bicep movement, but either your second or your third, just so there's a bit of blood in your elbows already. But yeah, they're a good one. And I'd never done them before until like last week.
Okay. All right. So that's the first new thing you tried. All right. I like it. Dude, and curls. Fucking love curls. Dude, like Fridays are like curl day. That's it. Like
I've got a strong urge to do some right now, actually.
Same here. All right. If you could write a note to your younger self, what would you say in only 2 words?
Start younger.
Ooh, that's the quickest anyone's ever answered. Start younger. Why start younger?
I actually had that in my head before you even finished asking that question.
You knew it was coming.
Start younger because, like, the reason I kind of shifted from hockey to figuring out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to build my life to be was so that I can be in a spot, like, I don't want to be 40 and be like struggling with debt or not doing something I love, and maybe just starting at that point when I could look back and think, oh fuck, I could have started that when I was 20. I don't want to basically waste time on shit that doesn't bring me value when I know I could have gone in on that earlier.
All right, guys, just so you know, there may be a solo podcast episode coming on that, because you just sparked some inspiration in me. So thank you. I can't go back and change it. I wish I could, because I would have started so many things so much younger. My 20s would not have been the throwaway that I felt they were. So thank you, Alex. You've inspired a little muse inside of me today.
Happy to. I'd be happy to do another episode or something just on that if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, dude, we can go into that. All right, so let's go back. I'm going to talk a bit about post bodybuilding. So you finish the show, you get on stage, you're all ripped, squeezing your muscles as hard as you can. You're probably pretty tired, drained. When you got off stage and you knew you were done, you didn't have to go back out, what was the first thing on your mind? What meal were you like, I'm going to eat this now?
I'm going to be honest, I was not hungry after stepping off stage the last time. Just like, because you eat a little bit, like over the day that you're on stage and the night before, you eat more than you're used to, at least, just to like fill out, bring some life back into your body. So it's not like I was starving. And I've never really been one to suffer from terrible cravings or anything. So that, thankfully, that also helped the process a lot. But let's see. The first thing I had after provincials was a bottle of cold brew and chocolate-covered gummy bears because they were in the apartment I was staying at. And then my girlfriend and I went and had, what was our first meal was basically a burger and Tex-Mex poutine. And we followed that up with some donuts. But the only thing that I really wanted was a lox and cream cheese bagel, which I had to wait till the next day to get. But man, was it worth the wait?
Yeah, all right, I like it. Dude, I love bagels. They're so good.
I was not a bagel fan until after these shows. It's really? Yeah.
Huh.
It's like a weird little, I don't know, favorite food, I guess, now that popped up.
Dude, all I know is there's a company, I guess, that you guys making them in Canada called Thomas Bagels, and they have like flavors. They have a like maple French toast in the winter that is amazing. Like you put it in the oven and let it heat up, and it's like they have these little like balls of maple syrup that like burst, and then they like fill out throughout the bagel.
You said these are in Canada?
They may be. I don't know. They're called Thomas Bagels.
Fuck, that sounds incredible. I'll keep an eye out.
They've had banana bread. Now they have salted caramel. I have not bought the salted caramel
I've
yet.
seen people posting those on Instagram and shit.
Yeah. They're pretty tasty.
I don't think they're up here, but good thing coming to Austin in a month or two.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, and dude, you missed New York. I know you missed New York, but we had a great bagel shop. Like there were rainbow bagels.
I saw those. Did they taste as good as they looked? Or
yes, they were delicious. There was one with like bacon and cheese baked into the bagel.
Jesus.
But pumpkin season's coming up, and my wife makes pumpkin bagels, so I'm super excited for that one.
Austin is going to be a bagel fest.
Austin's going to be an awesome bagel fest. So what's the training look like post bodybuilding? I mean, are you do some damage to your hormones, and it's a pretty taxing thing on your body. So what's it like when you can start eating, a little more? And is that a slow process? Did you have that? Did you blow up and gain like 16 pounds?
All right. So for, again, a little bit of context, natural competitor, dieted hard for 5 months, did what ultimately was 3 shows, and my hormones are fucked right now. I can't remember the last time I had a bit of sex drive, which is starting to concern me a little bit because it's been 2.5 weeks. But so yeah, hormones are fucked. Metabolism is suppressed, and it's a slow road back. I didn't blow up post show. I was kind of prepared for. I knew what to do post show to avoid that from happening, and like I said, I enjoyed the process too much to kind of throw it away on gaining 20 pounds within a matter of days. That's not who I am, I guess. So I had a couple days of like unencumbered eating, ate a ton of food, and then it was pretty much right back into still in a diet. It's like still in a deficit, just not nearly as severe. And each week I've been slowly increasing my carbs, trying to get them back up to, maintenance, and then push for a bit of growth. Training wise, it's like a 8 or 9 day training split. The intensity changes throughout the week, and like I'm doing some shit I haven't done in years. Like yesterday, my session was primarily wave loaded snatch grip deadlifts with like 3 minutes of rest in between each set. I cannot remember the last time I took that much rest between a set of an exercise. Yeah, I don't know what to do for 3 minutes, but
check Facebook, look on Twitter.
Pretty much, I like do laps of the gym, see how people are doing in there, walk outside, and then I still have a minute to kill.
Oh man!
But it's been good. It's been honestly, I don't think I could perform a higher intensity session, or at least as many as I was. So it's been nice to kind of back things down a bit. Volume's still pretty high. Actually, I'd call it moderate volume for myself at least.
Okay.
But yeah, just slow. So I'm in a 4 to 5 week phase of trying to bring my hormones back, bring back my metabolism, and then I'll probably take a week or 2 off of training and dieting, and then dive headlong into improving for next year.
Okay. What are improvements you need to make in next year, and what do you know you're going to work on?
Upper body size.
Okay.
My legs are pretty much what got me to the point they did this year, I think. And it kind of shows in the stage shots as well. So I need to add more upper body size, just, create a more symmetrical shape on stage, and just more practice posing. I mean, that's something you never really master. You just get better and better at it. But it makes a huge difference in how you look on stage.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm kind of with you on that, dude. I want to get bigger. Like my legs, my ass. Like I had a good bulk in the lower body last year. I want to get them pecs a little bigger. Well, our carrier pigeons allow us about 12 minutes in between these talk sessions. We've had some technical difficulties this episode. Stupid crows. or Ravens or whatever. You're up north, man. There's like all those battles up north.
I know. I mean, I just looked up and saw 2 crows flying around.
Yeah.
There's an eagle in a tree over yonder, and
yeah.
Trouble in the airwaves.
Fucking Winterfell. God, I swear. All right. So we've chatted a little about bodybuilding and your process and what you've got to work on. And I was saying, I want to get some upper body size this winter myself. I want to get that lat spread a little bigger. I want to get a little more of a bigger chest. My legs I'm good with and whatnot. So I'm kind of in that same boat with you, brother. But Alex, if people want to know more about you, where can they find you online? Where can they read your stuff? And then we'll go into like your last little word of wisdom for anyone in the show.
All right. So my business is called MASSthetics. It's MASSthetics. I really hope I spelled that right.
You're good. You got it.
Okay, perfect. So that's where my blog is. Tons of information, different nuances of training and nutrition, recipes, training sessions themselves. On social media, I spend most of my time Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and my handle is Alex Mullan, AlexMullan 13 across all of those. So pretty simple to find me there. And yes, that's where I live on the internet.
Awesome. Well, Alex, if there's one sort of thing you want to leave listeners with, either some word of wisdom, and it can be about bodybuilding, it can be about the process, falling in love with the process, or just something that's been on your mind that you think would provide value to anyone listening, what would that be?
Don't do shit you don't want to do just because it might make someone else happy.
I like that. Well said.
If I had a motto for my life, I understand it can come off as a little bit selfish, but it will improve your life, and it will spread into others as well. Like, I've started saying no to like events or meetings or whatever that I just have no interest in because I know I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to be fully engaged and all in on that. And I'm wasting their time as well if I said yes.
Man, I wish I could say that in the corporate world. No, sorry, I'm not coming to your afternoon meeting because it's a waste of time.
And I don't want to, so
yeah.
I'm going home.
Yeah. I tried to tell my wife that for school. I was like, just don't go. She was like, no, like I have to go. I'm like, I mean, what if you just don't?
Have to.
What if you just don't? What are they going to say if you don't? Like, what's going to happen?
There's a lot of value, I think, in learning to say no.
Oh, dude, that's a whole nother episode. You're talking to the guy who can't say no. I'm like, okay, yeah, is that gonna help me? Like, could it help my business? It could. Sure, I'll say yes. I'm horrible at saying no.
We clearly need to do an episode on life.
You know what? We might do that if the carrier pigeons will work a little better. We might get you on for one of the Coach's Corner episodes and talk a little more about like how to say no and why saying no is important. But we are wrapping up this one. Alex, I've had a great time chatting with you, catching up with you. Dude, you looked great on stage. And for people who are listening and probably wondering, where did you place in your first show? Where did you place in the last show?
So in both shows, one was like a regional qualifier and one was the provincial show, which is kind of probably the equivalent of like an NPC state show, if you're down there. I competed in both lightweight bodybuilding and classic physique A at both shows. At the qualifier, I got first in bodybuilding and second in classic physique. Nice. At provincials, I got third in lightweight bodybuilding and second in classic physique. And I'm now qualified for nationals in both, but I will have to pick just one to do next year because they only let you enter in one class.
Gotcha. Which one are you going to pick?
I don't know yet.
Don't know yet. All right.
If I had to pick today, it would be classic physique, just because I don't have the upper body size to be competitive in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But we'll see where things fall come next spring.
Okay. All right. Well, Alex, guys, again, for all the show notes, head to cyquestfitness.com/Alex-Mullan, and you can get all the notes, the videos we talked about, and links to all of Alex's social media and website as well. So hit him up. He's, again, got great recipes, so follow his stuff. Head over to MASSthetics.net. And Alex, again, thank you. The ODB, it's so freaking good.
I feel like it's changed your life.
Dude, listen, I've been making a lot of burritos when my wife's been gone experimenting, and it was the best burrito that I made. Like, the cloak and dagger was good, the cheesy bean and rice, but, oh, man, that ground turkey, the avocado is what sends out.
Ground turkey is the key.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to have to go find your video and check it out. I didn't see it yesterday.
I'll send it to you. All right, Alex, thank you so much for coming on, and we look forward to having you back on again soon.
Thank you for having me, man. It was a blast.
Step up and you gotta get it fitness. Host Rob at the moment and the quest is you gotta check it and wreck it. You're breaking personal records, and with the help of the guests you won't be guessing on the lessons. That's a +5 fierce. Got a low-key bamf right here. You wanna meet him, there's no better way to greet him than to strike a boss pose. Take a look into the mirror.